Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video I'm going to show you how you can create a button with a spinning border gradient. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this background black, and then I'm going to add a button to our page. Next I'm going to add a border of 2 pixels, and we're going to turn that opacity down to 0, and on the hover we want the opacity 0, and I'm going to change that background to 0% as well. Next, what we have to do is we need to add some custom code. To do that, we will click on these curly braces and we click start coding. Next, we want to click add a global CSS file, close that bit down, delete that. I've just realised I have forgotten to give our button a border radius, let's say 8 pixels. Now I'm going to give this button a custom class of BTN. Now we're going to target that class with .btn in curly braces. First I'm going to create a CSS variable by going dash dash, and I'm going to name this variable btn color. And then I'm going to set that variable to hash 0f0620. Next we're going to create a background image. We're going to have a linear gradient. The color for our linear gradient is going to be our btn color, so we write var brackets dash dash btn color, and then we want to put a 0 and a 0. This is to tell the background color to be solid. And then we want a comma, and then we're going to use a conic gradient. I'm going to copy and paste this one in because it's quite a long one. You can find generators for the gradients online. Let's bring that down to this line so we can see it a bit better. I'll cover this custom variable in a minute. Oh, don't need that one. Next we're going to set the background clip. Property, and we want to set that to padding box and border box. Next we're going to set the background origin to the same padding box and then border box. Next what we need to do is we need to write the code for this angle property here. To do that we're going to write at property, and the property is our angle variable here, so we can copy and paste that, and then we want curly braces. Next we need to type syntax, and that syntax is going to be 2 quotes, less than, and we want to type angle, and then a more than. Next we want to type inherits, we want to set that to true, and we're going to set the initial value to 0 degrees. So now our angle variable is set to 0 degrees. And if we go over and click preview, we can now see we've got our gradient button with the border color. so that it's spinning, what we're going to do is we're going to create a keyframe. So we type at keyframes. I'm just going to call this spin. We'll open our keyframes and we want it to go from 0. And I'm just going to type here, we want it to go to, open brackets, and then we set the angle to 360 degrees. Next we need to add this animation to our button. So we go back up to our button. Here we want to write animation. Then we write the animation we're using, which is spin. We set how long we want the spin to last. I'm going to go 4 seconds. We want it to be linear and we want it to be infinite. So now if we click preview, we should have our spinning little border. If you don't want the border to be playing the animation all the time and you only want it spinning when it's hovered, we'll comment that out there for a minute. And do btn, we type hover, and we can just copy that line of code into here. And if we click preview, now when we hover, the animation plays and it flicks back to the beginning. If you don't like that little flick, what you can do is you can come in here and we want to start the animation off in a paused state, and then when we hover, we want to affect the animation play state, and we want it to be running. So now if we click preview, you see our button isn't running the animation, and then we click on it, it'll run it and it'll stop where the gradient is degrees wise when we unhover. If you would prefer to have it running continuously, I'm just going to remove that pause effect and I'm going to comment that back out. We could add a scale in here so that when people hover it, there's an effect to show that they are actually hovering it. I'm going to set this to 0.2, and then in here we will go to transition, and I'm going to transition the scale. I'm going to do that over 0.8 seconds, and I'm going to have it ease in and out. So now if we hit preview, you see we've got our rotating border, and then when we hover we get a little bump on the side just to give us that little bit of interaction look. And that's how you can create a button with a border gradient spinning animation. If you have any questions, please ask them down below. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for watching.